Hello everyone and welcome back to not Bally Spring because we are actually up in Wicklow today. To be a little bit more specific, we're in an area called Court and we are on our way to a place called Court Farms. Now the reason I am up here, let me out buddy, good man. The reason I am up here and the reason I am driving this John Deere and have this big massive rake on the back of it is because I am actually working for my old boss today. I am working for Brad. You better give this man a bit of room with his caravan. But yeah, Brad basically gave me a shout because he's a couple of men down here at the moment. He has one chap is away on the honeymoon and another chap took ill here a few days back, and Brad basically rang me just to see was there any chance I'd fill in and, you know, just follow the row here for him for a few days. And I said that was no problem. I was happy enough to go and help him out because things weren't too mad at home or anything. So I've been working with him there now for the last 2 days, and he said to me yesterday evening that we were going to be heading up here to Court. And well, just as luck would have it, I actually wanted to head up this direction anyway. The reason being is because there is a slurry tanker up here that we are going to go look at. Now I have Wes to thank for this. There is a small beef farm about 3-4 miles past the farm we are heading to today, and James the farmer is actually selling up this place, and as such he is auctioning off all of his machinery. Now Wes is running the auction for him, and when he was looking through the list of machinery he spied the little tanker on it, and well, he sort of thought of me. So he gave me this guy's contact details and I ended up giving him a ring, and I believe this is us here on the left. But yeah, I ended up giving him a ring, and so your man said I could come on up and have a look at it, and so I let him know that I was going to be up here today anyway, and yeah, so we should be going down right after we finish this job. It's a nice looking spot up here, isn't it? A fine farm. Must do a little bit of a side business or something there with the camping, but nice looking place. I'd say those are the fields we're heading to. I see one field knocked down there, and the two of them are down. Yeah, this is probably where we're going. Does look like it's been tedded out there as well, so yeah, maybe I better go and knock on here and just make sure. I don't want to start rowing up his hay or something and then have him lose the head with me. Yeah, nice spot up here. Because your man has a little defender as well. She's nicer looking yoke than our one, I'll say that much. Having the old decals on her makes all the difference, doesn't it? What have they here? An old Case International. Because she's a fine looking yoke, isn't it? 5150. Should be a little bit of a step up from our one, wouldn't it? Good looking moor he has on the back of it there too. Could do with a wash, mind you, but we got to keep a few pigs there though. They all look happy as Larry. Right, anyway, like I said, I'll go knock on here and just make sure that these are the fields we're heading to. Be the Lord Jesus, that lad is some characters, I'm not messing you. He's half bloody cracked. I knocked on the door and come in, he says. So I walked on in anyway, and I walked into the kitchen and he says to me, cup of tea. And I says to him, God, yeah, I'd love one, yeah. He says, my kettle's over there. He says, I'll have 2 sugars in mine. The cheeky bloody git. I thought he was offering me a cup of tea. He wanted me to bloody well make one for him. I says to him, I tell you what, I says, I changed my mind. I says, I'll go and grab something at the petrol station when I finish here. Lads, I never seen anything like it. But I just said to him, I says, I presume these are the 2 fields down here. I says, you want road? Well, of course they bloody are. He says, aren't they mowed down? And I says to him, alright, chill out, lad. I said, I was only asking you. I said, they look like they've been tedded. I said, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't other fields, that they weren't for hay or anything. Oh, fair play, he says. So, I says to him, she was tedded there. I said, was it tedded for a reason? I says, was it wet, was it? And he says to me, oh, it was a little bit wet now, alright, oh. He says, tedded is right. He says it was just about tedded. And I says to him, why? And he says, oh, bloody young lad, he says, he was supposed to be here this morning, he says, and he out bloody faffing around all night, he says, that he couldn't get up for work this morning, he says, it was ringing him and couldn't get him on the phone, he says, and eventually turned up, he says, here at 9 o'clock. And I says, alright, I says, I'm sure he's got it done anyway. Oh, just a bloody bow, he says, I tell you what, he says, bloody hell fire, he says, I tell you, it's so hard to get good help, it's so hard to get a good farmhand these days. And I sort of nodded and smiled, and I just said, yeah, I says, I know what you mean. And yeah, I was just trying to get out of there now, to be honest, which is, but I tell you what, I feel sorry for that young lad, rather him than me now, I think. But yeah, it's always a good idea to shake it out there if she's there a bit too wet anyway, you know, because the last thing you want is wet silage going into the pit, you know. We talked about it there a little bit the last day, but you know, obviously you're increasing your chances of getting mouldy feed. But you know, you have to be very, very careful, especially if the silage is very wet there, you know. And of course nobody wants to make wet silage, but sometimes lads are not really left with much of an option, you know, because, well, sometimes you just get caught on the hop, and that's the way it is. You know, if you're there and you have a wet spell of weather and all of a sudden your man on the weather forecast tells you you're going to get 3 days there of good weather in the middle of it, and then it's back to rain for another 3 days, well, you sort of have to take your opportunity when you can. But then sometimes things go wrong too, like, you know, the weather might break a little bit before you thought it was going to or something, and lads get caught on the hop, and, like, you know, you're not left with many options. You can either, you know, chance it and leave it out in the rain and hope it's not slop by the time the rain clears, or you can burst on and pick it up and, you know, deal with the consequences later, which is going to be your bad feed. But yeah, it's like I say, no one wants to do it, but sometimes it just happens. And, you know, there are bigger dangers to it there as well, like, you know, because really wet silage, what it has is a lot of effluent on it. And it's alright if you have a pit there with good drainage and stuff on it, and the wet effluent has a way of getting off it. But if you have bad silage that gets mucky and it starts blocking up your old drains and stuff there, you can get into bother real quick, because if the effluent can't escape, what's going to happen is the effluent is going to actually seep in under the pit. And when that happens, believe it or not, what can actually end up happening is you can end up with your whole pit actually floating. And that is a very, very dangerous situation altogether, because, well, what can happen is your whole pit can actually split apart and it'll basically float apart. And, you know, if anyone happened to be standing under wherever it decided to flow out to, well, you wouldn't have much of a hope, really. Like, you know, it'd be the very same as standing in front of a landslide. Like, I've only ever seen it happen the once, and it was actually one of the very first jobs I ever did for Brad. I was carting and there was another chap on the loader mucking out, but we were clearing out a pit of bad silage, and when we arrived down, we found that the pit was all out in the middle of the yard. And, well, that was exactly what had happened. The farmer got caught out the year before, and, you know, the pit got wet on him, and yeah, she basically floated and then she split up near the back end of the pit. And for luck, it happened in the middle of the night, you know, but if it hadn't been in the middle of the night, it could have been a very tricky situation, because, like, you know, someone could have ended up getting seriously hurt there, you know. As you can see, we're making fairly short work of this, even with the size of a field that's in it. It is nice to be back on the big kit, I will say that, you know. Don't get me wrong, like, I love working with our own tractors there, because, well, they're our tractors in Yorks, but yeah, it is definitely nice to be back in the big kit. You really can't beat it there, like, you really do fly through jobs, like, you fly through the old acreage there on them. With a roar like the width of this, like, we were picking up just about, what, I think 46 acres in the farm we were at there now on the first job. and there's a little under 15 acres I believe here, and we've about another 18 acres to do then at the next job as well. So yeah, around 80 acres there for the day, which is actually not too bad, you know. We're not under any major pressure, because as you can see the weather is with us, the sun is splitting the trees. It must be nearly 30 degrees here today. I'd say actually it's definitely heading on for it. I'm glad to be in a cab with aircon, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it's like I said, you don't be long flying through it there with the big machines, and it won't be too bad a day. The nice thing about being on the road is, while you might be one of the first man in, you're one of the first to get out as well. So hopefully we'll be finished a little bit earlier. We don't have to stick around to clamp any pits in any of these places, thankfully, and that always helps when it comes to getting the job done, you know, or getting home a little bit early. So I mentioned there about you know, the big machines and how it's nice to be back in them, but this one is actually a new one for Brad. We just have to make sure I miss this old pole. He cut tight enough to the pole anyway, I know that much, but we got around it. But yeah, this John Deere is a new one for him. Nice machine now, I do have to say. I like it. It's very comfortable yoke to be in. He buys all his stuff up around here, a place called Eire Agri actually. Real good place. I tell you one thing, they offer great support. Just anytime we ever had a breakdown, they'd have a lad out to you in the field in about an hour, and if they couldn't fix it there and then in the field, they'd get you out a replacement machine, like, you know, they're ASAP, like, and whether it be a tractor or the harvester or whatever, they'd get you going, like, you know. Great place, and sure, like, you know, Brad really needs a place like that, because you can't really afford to be broke down in this game, you know. Breakdowns, of course, are obviously part of it and they're inevitable, but no one has bloody time for them. That's the way it does be, you know. You don't really have time to get stopped in a job like this, because if one lad gets stopped, it holds up everyone, you know. That's the way it goes. We'll probably have to go a little bit short on this one, because I don't think we're going to pull the two in anyway. But yeah, like I said, you know, you really don't have to get stopped, because, or to have time to get stopped, because, you know, if the lad on the moor breaks down, that holds me up, and if I break down, I'm holding up the boys with the harvester, and if the harvest broke down, everything's held up. And so yeah, you know, it is imperative to keep these things going. Everything has to flow at a really nice pace in this job, and that's just the way it is, like, you know. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was just to give you a few little updates with things going on back at the farm. And, well, there's not really a huge amount now, to be honest, which is things have been relatively quiet. I have had bits of work, but nothing major. But the first thing to dig into is we got the results back on our silage there, and the readings across the board are all pretty good. I'm very happy with them, to be honest with you. But the big one is our dry matter digestibility, and yeah, we're on course to make a silage there with about a 71, possibly a 72 rating, and you know, that'd mean we're not making the absolute best of the best quality grass, but we are making a very good quality grass, and you know, it should mean that we're able to ask a good price for it then as well. Now we'll have to keep us over here again and watch this old pole. Like you said, he cut him tight enough to it. We're good to go now. But yeah, I would, you know, I'd be hoping to get somewhere around €55 a tonne on it. You know, prices are fluctuating all the time, but it is going to be a very good quality feed, and it'll be a feed that will be fit for dairy cows. So I think really, you know, €55 a tonne or so will probably be a fair asking price on that. Now I'll get us lifted because we're straight enough on the end of that row. We'll head on out to the second field. Now the other thing is, well, basically just to give you a couple little updates on money. We've had money go out and we've had money come in. Thankfully there's been more coming in than what's went out, and sure, that's the way you want it to be, but most of our money that has went out has actually been down to fertiliser, because we put a second round of fertiliser onto our potatoes, and that ran us a little bit over €400. On top of that, then we had to buy just about 2 tons of 0730 with an added sulphur, and that was for our grass fields, and that ran us just under 1800. So we ended up in total spending about 2200 there on fert, which is a good bit of money, but yeah, sure, it'll be worth it in the end, hopefully. That's the theory anyway. But in terms of money coming in there, we got paid out of Don, but on top of that I did get a couple of other jobs. I actually mowed and baled for another lad there. I done about 4 acres for him. I picked up about 2 acres there of baling for another chap as well. I actually got 5 or 6 little jobs with that rower of ours, believe it or not. It's actually been a great job, because, well, while most contractors will row for you, a lot of them kind of don't want the job, and if they can get the farmer to do it themselves, or the farmer gets in someone else to do it, they're kind of happy, because, well, it saves them bringing an extra machine, and it helps to keep down the cost for the farmer as well, like, you know, because, you know, a few years ago there was probably 100 or maybe €110 an acre there to get your silage down, but these days, God, you could be looking at €130, and you know, that's simply down to the cost of diesel. You know, I remember there, Brad, there during 2020 and 2021, like, he had to show up the prices because of the diesel, and like, he wasn't making any more profit on it at the time, I can tell you that. He was actually taking a bit of a loss on it. But yeah, I've been very happy with her little windrower there. It's been bringing in a nice little bit of money for us, and I tell you, if it keeps going at this rate, it'll probably have paid for itself by next year. But the big mover with us in terms of money coming in has actually been our hay, because I have actually managed to sell not only the 14 bales of hay that we mentioned the last time, but I actually sold another 10 bales on top of that. Now I got varying prices on the whole lot of it, but basically it worked out at just under €2,000. I think it was €1,992 to be exact. But yeah, it worked out well. Now came right at a good time for us, you know, especially when we had the fertiliser going out. Now we're just pulling on to our very last little bit here, and I think I actually just saw the boys pulling in, which guys, they must have been fairly flying if they caught up on me as quick as that. But we'll have plenty of time. There'll be 2.5 if not 3 hours here, I'd say. Now the last thing I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on was our little flail, because I actually haven't had the chance to do one with it yet, believe it or not. The little housing that Wes got me actually ended up being wrong, and he's had fierce trouble getting in this other one, but he thinks he's going to have it here now in the next couple of days. But whenever we get it anyway, when we get it into it, we will get up there and flail, of course, but you know, I think it is too late at this point now, to be honest with you. The damage is already done. Like, we're definitely seeing a good few weeds come through there, and even with a little bit of grass seed coming up in as well, so we're probably going to have to spray it off, which is, you know, unfortunate, because it's going to be more money there. But sure, look, it is what it is. There's not really too much we can do about it. Yeah, here are the boys having a chat with your man, the farmer there. I don't envy him, to be honest, but yeah, the boys are all ready to go. He's a nice old kit, doesn't he? I tell you, them old Brooklyn trailers, they're cargo trailers, so they are. Haul some grass, and them were made only down the road from where my home place was with the parents. I knew Paddy Brooklyn real well. He used to drink in the pub there where I used to work when I was younger. He used to love himself as small powers with a drop of 7-Up in it. That's what I remember of him. But they make our good quality trailers, alright. And as you can see, Brad has some very nice machines in the setup here. But anyway, I'm going to get heading on down to this next job, and we'll be stopping, of course, on our way to get a look at this slurry spreader. Right, so I think we are just here. The sat-nav said it was the next turn on the left, so I presume this is us. Crooks Lane, that's it, alright, yeah. Oh, he said to me he was just on the right here. Oh, I think I see some sheds, alright, this must be the way. Let's pull on in here. And I'll just park up here on the left, not to be in the way for the moment. Hopefully I can turn around in his field there or something in a few minutes. Right, we'll get on out. Yeah, not a bad looking spot down here, sure not. Nice little farm, actually. Anyway, I'll go and knock on. This man is not here himself, but I think the brother is here. It was sort of hard to understand him on the phone, actually. I don't know if it was just a bad line or what, but yeah, I'll knock on here and see what the crack is anyway, and hopefully we're in the right place. Be the Lord God, I said that your man had been hard to understand on the phone. You'd want to hear his brother, lads. I couldn't understand a bloody word the lad was saying to me, I swear to God. He was talking and talking, I was just trying to pick words out of a sentence now, to be honest with you. I couldn't understand anything, but he said to me that the tanker was down the yard, I think, and he was pointing down, he said McCormick, and he said dirty water, and I managed to pick out, you know, test, and he was sort of pointing down this way, and I think what he was trying to tell me is we could test the tanker down here in the field straight out. They must have a drop of dirty water gone into it, but we'll have a look around here at everything else, because, well, there's probably nothing here we want to buy, but we might as well have a look. There's a little baler close to our ranch, the newer model of it. Nice looking yoke. Good size mower there as well. Little fort spreader. An old concrete roller. By God, I haven't seen one of them in a long time, huh? Or an old cheap way of making a roller, I tell you. And they were good old yoke too, they'd last a long time. They'd eventually crack and they'd be bet then, but yeah, it was a cheap way of making them. You see, no feeder. Another little case international. God, they're like their internationals around this area. And she's 745. She'd be a little bit smaller than our one, but she'd be a little bit newer too. She'd be what, mid-90s or that. Nice looking little machine. God, he must do a few spuds down here. He's a planter there anyway. Little plough in the corner. Fairly fresh looking yoke, that yoke actually. We'll have to think of getting one of them ourselves at some point, but that one's probably over our budget now according to the look of it, I'd say. Anyway, we'll see if we can find this old tanker. Old trailer there. It's the McCormick. Oh, by God, this is it. Not a bad looking bus, that Yorkshire, no? Yeah, this is the little tanker anyway, and as you might have saw there on the far side, I think you can see the old stickers on her there. She's a Star tanker. Now, these are actually made in the north of Ireland, and yeah, they're a fairly old yoke. They don't actually produce them anymore now. This one is about 17 years old, which is, it was a little worrying when I heard that at first, but I'm just going to jump into this yoke. Yeah, look, he has the keys in it and all. I think he was trying to tell me we could go test it, so we'll fire this yoke up. Yeah, you can see on the gauge there she has slurry in her, alright, yeah. So we'll know in a second if he comes out after us. We'll know we weren't supposed to do this, but sure, we'll see what the crack is. We definitely won't be spreading out there anyway, but this looks like a field that's been cut. Ah, yeah. I think this is what he was on about, alright. But yeah, she looks a nice tanker, and the thing that made the age a little bit more bearable when I heard about it was that Wes told me there was actually a reconditioned pump put onto that there about 4 years ago, and he knows that because he supplied it for him. Now she seems to be doing a good job spreading. She hasn't a huge working weight on her, but sure, you wouldn't expect a huge weight. Just going to stop there for a second. I don't have that flood part of the field, but she does look to be spraying out alright. Yeah, we'll jump on down. we'll have to show her off. There's no active PTO on these ones, so you have to be always careful with him. You don't want to turn too tight with him or anything. We'll just give her another run up the field here now and see how she goes. I think actually she might be out of slurry there now. At that point, they must have only had a drop in it. Ah, sorry. Anyway, yeah, no, she seems to be putting on a good coverage in the ox there. You can see it well on the ground. I'm sure it's only a bit of dirty water, but yeah, no, she looks like a good tanker now. In fairness, there's not too many marks or anything on it. Right, I'll just stop this yoke off here. Should be fine. Now, jump out. Yeah, she's lost a bit of paint in the ox, as you can see, but the paint work itself is not too bad. She's not like the old red ones that get real, you know, sun-kissed and that fade off to an old pink. The black at least stays a little bit better on them, but yeah, everything looks good on it now. He's looking 4,600 for this yoke, which is a little bit much for the age, maybe, but considering she does have that reconditioned pump on her, you know, I can understand why. And them tyres are 3/4 way good on it, I'd say, as well. So, and she is the 1,300 gallon, which is a little bit bigger than I thought we were going to end up getting. But yeah, at 4,600, I think I'm happy to try and go for this. We'll see if we can maybe do a bit of a deal, but yeah, I think that could be a very good sized tanker now for our farm. In fairness, you know, we really wouldn't need much bigger than that. We'll have a quick nosy around while we're here. We won't buy that muck spreader anyway, but there's a little Marshall one there, is it? It is Marshall, yeah. That sort of yoke now would be ideal for us when we are getting one, but might be a while away as that too. But yeah, nice looking little spreader now. She's nothing too bad of a nick. There's a little chieftain trailer. I don't think he really has anything out around this side, does he? No. Yeah, so that must be pretty much it. Well, sure, it's only really the tanker then, I suppose. Oh, hello. That is a little potato digger. Huh. That is interesting. I wonder, is that... Oh. He has a little ledger there as well. Oh man, that joke would be ideal for us. That is basically a weeder for your potatoes. It does basically, the blades there, they fit in the middle of the rows, and they can be pretty good for getting out small weeds. They get less effective as the weeds get stronger in them, you know, and they gain more of a foothold. But that little yoke could actually be very handy to us. I'll have to inquire about that. But yeah, this thing. This is kind of exactly what we're looking for in terms of a digger. Yeah, this is one, of course, that he's going to fire him out on the ground, but it looks a fairly old machine. She's definitely saw a bit of work. But I might have to ask him about this thing as well, because if we could get this at a good price, that would solve our problem of getting a potato digger. Interesting. That'd be definitely better than a spinner, I know that much. Just try and get this man here on the phone here now. Right, ringing there now. Hopefully I can understand them now is the next thing. Might be hard to do a deal if I can't understand them. Hello? Well, James, how are you going? Not too bad. Yeah, Brian. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'm down in your place there now. Yeah, I'm just after being out with her there. I ran her there in the field, and yeah, everything looks good with her. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's a nice tanker now. She looks well kept. Yeah, that's right. Wes was telling me that. It was 4 years ago, was it? Yeah, and all the hoses and everything are all good on it. Yeah, there's none of them rotten or anything, no. Yeah, and she's good suction on it as well, yeah? Yeah. Right, well, come here till I talk to you about money. You were looking 4,600 for it. How would you feel about 4,000? Right. Right, yeah. Would you come down to 4-2 on it? Yeah. Right, oh, well, alright, yeah. I'm happy that I'll meet you in the middle, so 4-2-50 then. That's alright, yeah. You have yourself a deal. Yeah. Good man, yeah. I will, yeah. I don't know if I'll collect it myself. I might possibly come up with a low loader and get it myself, but I might get someone to collect it. It kind of depends whether I buy something else off you here. I'm interested in that little potato digger you have, and also I saw you had a little edger there as well. Yeah, I saw the planter. No, I'm not interested in the planter now. It's only the digger and the edger. Yeah, and tell me now, that digger, is she running? Is it running alright? Yeah. What age of a machine is it? Yeah, I know. Yeah, she can be hard to keep track of. Yeah, 17, 18, you reckon, right? And have you been working at all lately? You have. No, I was just asking when I see her. She's parked out in the open here. All right, right. And was she stored in a dry shed? She was. Yeah. Okay. And what sort of money now would you have on it? Oh, Jesus, lad, that is. We'd be miles apart, lad, miles apart. No, you're asking too much for that now, I'm sorry. They're not making that money, lad. They're not making 5 grand, I'm telling you. I'd be more about 3,000 now, to be honest with you. And now, 3,000 I think would be a very fair price now. Yeah, no, like, lad, I'm telling you now, like, go online yourself and look. Yeah, I know she's a 2-row, but it doesn't matter, lad. She's an old machine, and like, they're just not making that money. I'm telling you, like, 3 grand there is. I'm offering you a very good price, I think, now with 3 grand, to be honest with you. Yeah, no, lad, like, at 4 we're still miles apart. Like, I really, I don't think I'd go over 3 now, to be honest. Like, I am offering you a fair price at that now, I think. Well, look, you don't have to believe me, but, like, did I pay you a fair price for that tanker now, do you think? Yeah, well, I think I'm offering you fair money on that now, but you're just not asking a fair price. Well, look, I tell you what you do, lad, right? You ring Wes and don't mention a thing to him about money, and just ask him to give you a valuation on that. If he tells you it's worth 4 or 5,000, you go on and get your 4 or 5,000 for it, but I won't be the lad buying half you, I'll tell you that right now. But if he comes back to you and he says it's worth less money, maybe we can talk about it then. Yeah, so that's no problem. You go on and do that then. But come here, that little ledger, you hardly have a lot of money on that joke, do you? Yeah, 150, that's fair money, yeah. I understand she's old. Yeah. She wants pints, yeah, I can see that, alright, yeah. 150 be grand. Well, look, I'll just say this much to you now before we finish talking, but I'd give you 3-2 there on the whole lot. You know, the digger and the edger. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. You go on and talk to Wes, like I said, and sure, look, see what he tells you, and sure, maybe you'll come back to me. Yeah. Alright, sound. Alright, I'll talk to you then. Bye. Well, yeah, we managed to do ourselves a deal on the tanker anyway, at least, and as you've probably heard, we didn't really do a deal on the planter. God, he was looking crazy money. 5 grand he said he wanted. They're not making that, like, they're seriously not. I'm kind of even regretting I'm offering them 3 now, to be honest with you, because I think I might offer them too much, but oh, look, it is what it is. If I could get one, I'd nearly pay him that, because it doesn't look too bad, you know. But yeah, at least we have the tanker end sorted, and I'll definitely take that little ledger off him as well. But right, I will get cracking on to the next job, and I think that is where we're going to leave it for today's episode. I hope everyone has enjoyed the episode, and I do hope you have enjoyed our trip away to Court Farms here. It's been nice to get up around this area again myself. I do always love seeing a real nice area up here. But until next time, take care and good luck.